Hi, Stuart.
Yes.
If our task as meditators is to develop the chakra system and focus on the hara, uh, how do you develop those other chakras? Or does that just happen?
No, it doesn't. It's so funny. Somebody sent me an email asking this exact question today, and I told him that I would rather answer it in class because this is something that everybody needs to learn. It's very good for, and that person didn't show up, but I guess you're his voice in the class. I mean, it's really funny. Anyway, look, you know, um, the whole purpose of the meditation is to develop the entire chakra system. Each chakra has a different purpose, and each is connected to higher energy in the universe. When you finally learn to keep your attention focused below the navel, as I've said 1,000 times, this grounds you. This gives you the power inside yourself to open the rest of the chakras. When you're grounded inside and you feel gratitude, you understand, gratitude will be the fastest way to open the heart. And when the heart is open, then all of that tension in the head, it can flow down. It's not going to be blocked by emotional entanglement, by all kinds of stuff, fear, insecurity. So that energy from the mind can flow down to the chakra below the navel. And what happens is the mind gets quiet, and it also becomes a place that can be fed knowledge, wisdom, real knowledge, real wisdom, not stuff we manufacture through ego, through, our rational thinking process, but knowledge and wisdom that emanates directly from the source of the universe. Our mind is clear. We can receive that knowledge. Some people call that knowledge the higher mind, but it's really an extraordinary energy that we keep from entering us because our minds are not quiet. So you have grounding, gratitude opens the heart, the mind gets quiet, we receive knowledge, the third eye opens, which gives us the ability to see what's real in life, what's an illusion. And when you swallow a little saliva as part of this exercise, the throat chakra opens. The throat chakra is truly the seat of all communication. Our interaction with life, how we communicate with life, how we communicate with higher energy. I always say, in the Bible, they say, in the beginning was the Word. And I think that every word that a human being utters is truly like Genesis. It's the beginning of some level of consciousness that they function on. So all of this works together. And the mind, the throat, the heart, the chakra below the navel, this is all in the initial stages. It's simply the development of our humanity. We learn how to communicate with life, with other people, with love, with compassion, with patience, forgiveness, all of these terms that have come down through the ages that are really essential ingredients in the development of our humanity. And as we develop our humanity, it enables a spiritual life to be possible. Then you have sexual energy. If you're not grounded inside, sexual energy is a very powerful energy. And we need to have that grounding inside to keep us from being, completely thrown off balance by sexual energy. And sexual energy is the area of rebirth. It's not only the area of birth, it's the area of rebirth. Because as I've also said 1,000 times, it's where the male-female principle come together, and that marriage activates Kundalini. So when you're focused in the chakra below the navel, you just bring 5% of your attention to the base of the spine, and you draw the energy through the sexual area to the base of the spine, and you activate Kundalini. So it's like playing a one-man band. You understand? All of the instruments are the chakras. We need to learn how to consciously develop these instruments. We need to learn how to refine them and to keep them from being congested with all our tension and anxiety and fear, our emotions, our mental stuff, the rational, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not just the development of the hara, the chakra below the navel. It's the development of the entire system within us. And to develop the entire system within us, we need to do it consciously. We need to build roots. We need to get strong inside. We need to have gratitude. Without gratitude, how does the heart open? We need to have quiet minds so we can receive the wisdom from the universe. We need to have an open throat chakra so we can communicate, and same, it's just throughout the entire chakra system. This is how it works. So the ability to stay rooted and grounded and development of the hara, really gives us the power to do all of the things I'm talking about. And without that grounding inside, emotions just swamp us. Mental energy, it really just turns people into flayed images of themselves, And we can't, our conversations are ludicrous. It's like static on a radio. 3% of what we're saying, what we think we ever really communicate, because there's so much tension in the communication with other people. And I don't even want to get into sexual energy, what that does to people when they're not grounded and rooted inside. So, look, it all works together. And the wonderment of what Rudy left us is this double breathing exercise. And the purpose of this double breathing exercise is to develop the entire chakra system. It's a holistic approach to spiritual practice. So it's not just, I talk a lot about the hara because I know people lack that inner strength, and they have to build that inner strength in order to develop the entire chakra system. And there's something else I talk about that's involved in this, and that is there are 3 levels that we have to deal with. The first one is spirit. We need to be open enough to receive the energy of God. We have to have strength inside to be able to receive that energy. It's a very powerful energy. It is energy that is infinite in the universe. There's no limitation to it. It breaks down every barrier in a human being. And we need to open to that Shakti that flows out of the universe. That cosmic gas station that fuels us so that we can truly open to a higher force and be strong enough to do it. The second element is, as I always talk about, it's life itself. And we all know what we have to deal with in life. This is impossible energy. It's so strong that it just simply rolls all over people. And people build, kind of shelters around themselves to protect themselves against all the bullshit that goes on in life. We need to be very strong to live life with compassion, with kindness, with love, with forgiveness, with patience with ourselves and other people, learning how to forgive ourselves and to forgive other people. and understanding that forgiving other people doesn't mean we have to spend the rest of our life hanging around with them. It just enables us to move on. We're no longer holding those grudges and that fear and that anxiety in ourselves. We can move on in life. And the third element is Kundalini, which is really another powerful force, because that is really the pathway to enlightenment. So we need to have the capacity to deal with an open throat, an open mind, an open heart, open sexual energy that we've mastered and we can use to activate Kundalini. We have to be strong enough to deal with spirit when it comes into us, Shakti, when it comes into us, and we have to be strong enough to truly work out our karma in the world by learning how to live with compassion, with love, with patience, all the things that I mentioned. All of this is involved in the development of a chakra system. And that chakra system can't develop itself unless a person has grounding inside. They're rooted inside themselves. They have that kind of strength to be able to do it. And I hope this is clear. I talk about this a lot, and it's such an important element in what Rudy taught and what I learned from him. And I know I've expanded on it a little bit. He didn't talk about it in terms of 3 elements. He had his own language in which he talked about it. But it's the same thing. And he always spoke about that essential grounding inside that you needed. He emphasized in lecture after lecture until it was coming out of my ears, until I finally, after years of I learned it. I said, okay, this is a profound truth. And it took so long for me to learn it because I was such a scattered and spaced out young man. And I needed to build a system inside that enabled me to hear what he was talking about. You can spend your life avoiding this. You can spend your life running away from it. You could succumb to all the tests and blocks and tensions inside that try to keep you from doing this. But one day you got to do it. I mean, how do you grow a plant without roots? How do you build a building without a foundation? How does a tree grow without roots? Everything in nature is rooted. Birds have nests and this, beavers have dams. Everything comes back to some kind of foundation in rootedness. We have homes, we have places where we live, but in the case of a human being, we also have minds that don't allow us to truly root ourselves in these homes and places like that, because they're always adrift from the past to the future, to this, to that, to what, da, ba, ba, da, da. And the only way to get really grounded and rooted is to do it inside oneself.
Yeah, thank you. That clears a lot up.
Well, thank you for the question. When another student gets out, tell them that I answered his question. Somebody else asked the same question. I think that's wonderful. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I don't know how to make this clearer. And if I'm fogging it up, then I haven't grown enough to be able to talk about this in a clear way. because I can't tell you how essential what I've talked about is to develop. I hear teachers teaching just stay in the heart center, stay focused on the third eye, spend their whole meditation just listening to your breathing. I mean, all of these things are okay, but if you're not grounded inside, most of those things are going to just space you out. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
And Stuart, and the crown chakra opens organically?
Yes. When the energy goes up there, it will germinate. It's like you ever see a statue of a Buddha, they always have this big bump on their heads. That's the Shakti, the Kundalini moving from the base of the spine to the crown chakra, forming that kind of mountain. I mean, I have it on my head. Rudy had it on his head. I'm sure some of you have it on your head when you've been doing this work. That energy gathers there, it germinates, then the crown opens. It's called the 1,000-petal lotus, the Sahasrara, and the soul of a human being connects with the soul of the universe. That marriage, it's like the Ganges flowing out of the Himalayas, It brings with it knowledge, wisdom. It's sacred. It's a sacred river of energy that returns and provides people with the elements that truly prepare them to have a spiritual life. Does anyone else have a question? Our job is to make it happen, or even to let it happen by using the tools of meditation to develop a system that is capable of doing this. It's a covenant between human beings and God. I will do the work. I will do the work to allow this to happen. And when a person does the work, then they can become a servant of higher energy in the universe. They have prepared themselves, they have opened themselves so that energy can flow through and they can serve, humanity that way. And have patience. This takes time to do. It takes a lot of work. And again, as I've said also 1,000 times, the only person that all of us are up against to do this is ourselves. It really is. That is the number one problem right there. We're up against ourselves. Does anyone else have a question I would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, the energy is getting so strong and so profound and so high. I pray to God and hope that every one of you really take advantage of what is truly going on now. It's just a miracle what's happening. And I hope that you do and that you use it every day in your life. You can find time maybe to come here. It's like Pat Fay said, sitting here and having hands-on classes. It's incredible. And I discovered in the last year that this is what my life is about, just teaching this. And I couldn't think of a better way of living out the last 5-10 years or so of my life, just doing this, transmitting this kind of Shakti and energy to help people and also help myself continue to grow. So bless you all and thank you. And, just keep doing the inner work. And if people say things to you, it's just bullshit. You don't have to listen. I don't care who they are. Just have the commitment to growing, getting closer to God, and using your willpower to make that commitment a reality. It'll take you to places that you never dreamed you could go. And I mean this. It truly will. So God bless you all and thank you. And there'll be a class on Wednesday evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in the meditation class. And bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good night.
Good night.